Hi everyone, welcome back to English4-2. I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
And we're on part 2 of our article about Mid-Autumn Festival. So yesterday we were with Eden, Kiko and Thuk. They were in Eden's house. They gathered there to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Right, they're on, I remember it's Eden's balcony?
Eden's balcony, I think, yeah.
Right, and they're celebrating and talking about Mid-Autumn Festival.
In different countries.
Right.
They start and they ask Eden about how it's done in Taiwan. What's the story about the moon and stuff? We learned about the story of Chang'e.
Right, so we learned the story from that person.
Yes.
And also found out that people in Taiwan think about Mid-Autumn Festival as a festival or as a day together with their family.
Yeah, looking at the moon, which is big and shiny, it's a full moon, but it reminds them of being together with the people they love, with their friends and family.
Yes.
Now, Kiko and Thuk are from different countries, so we're now going to hear other stories about the Mid-Autumn Festival. And we'll also explore a little bit about the whole barbecue thing that goes on here in Taiwan and what the story is behind that. Let's read through day 2 of the article.
Reading. Mid-Autumn Festival traditions from around the world.
So how about in Japan? What traditions do you have?
We also have a story about the moon. A rabbit lives there. It makes mochi.
It seems like the moon is important in many different cultures.
In Japan, people will sing songs and write stories about it. People spend a lot of time staring at the moon.
What about in Vietnam, Thuk? Do you celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival there?
We do. In Vietnam, it's mostly a holiday for children. We eat mooncakes and people do special dances in lion costumes. We also pray to the moon and the earth god.
Cool! The barbecue tradition in Taiwan started in the 1980s. 2 companies were fighting to sell their barbecue sauce. Stories say that their advertisements helped invent the tradition. At the same time, people had money to buy more things like barbecue equipment.
That's very interesting.
I'm thankful to be able to share this time with you both.
Me too. Now let's eat and admire the moon. Maybe we can see the rabbit making mochi.
So Eden starts day 2 and asks, it's going to be asking Kiko, so how about in Japan? What traditions do you have? In other words, what do people in Japan do around the Mid-Autumn Festival? And what is a tradition? It's some kind of action or a behavior that's been done for a very, very long time. Now, maybe in the past there was a particular reason for doing it, but in the modern times, we just do it because that's what's always been done. We've maybe forgotten the real reason it happened. It might have used to have been a religious reason or a kind of a real practical reason. We do this for this reason, but now it's a tradition. It's a thing that's always done at a particular time, at a particular event. Because it's just part of what that event is. Here's a good example. It's a tradition to eat a cake with candles on it for people's birthdays. Now, you could go and find out the story behind that. Why candles? Why a cake? What is the real meaning of it? But these days, it's just, okay, a birthday, that means a cake and candles on it. That's the tradition.
Tradition 代表就是传统，是个名词。所以呢，除了生日要吃蛋糕、吹蜡烛之外呢，我们还可以说，像是 eating turkey on Thanksgiving Day is a tradition in the U.S. 代表在感恩节吃火鸡是美国的传统。那形容词呢，我们就在 tradition 的字尾加上 al 变成 traditional 就可以了。像是我们可能会穿一些传统的服饰 traditional costumes， 或是听一些传统的音乐 traditional music。或者是呢，我们都有传统的风俗习惯 traditional customs。所以日本它有什么样中秋节的习俗呢？
Okay, well, we'll find out. Kiko answers We also have a story about the moon. So she's thinking about the Chang'e story. She says, a rabbit lives there. Okay, now, isn't there a rabbit in the Chinese story? There's a little jade rabbit up on the moon.
玉兔.
That's right. And a guy who cuts wood.
吴刚法贵.
Yeah, I think up there as well. But so there's a similarity here. A rabbit lives there. But Kiko then also adds, it makes moji. Okay. Moji. That's a very interesting part of the story. Moji, of course, is Japanese rice cake. It's chewy. It's often made with something sweet in the middle, like red bean or taro or sesame. You can, of course, find these all over Taiwan and get, I think, Hualien's got quite a lot of different ones.
Yes, actually it's all over Taiwan.
It is all over Taiwan, of course, but I think it is Japanese originally.
所以呢 mochi 麻糬就是糯米团麻薯。那这边说兔子在月亮上做麻薯 It sounds so cute.
I wonder what he makes it with up there.
I don't know.
Yeah, how does he get the ingredients? Does he grow
rabbit's
them?
ears?
He grows them on the moon and gets some red beans up there, grows a few sesame plants. We're not sure. But it's a cool story. And I guess if the rabbit's making moji on the moon, maybe in Japan, eating moji is a part of Moon Festival. That would make sense if that's true. So Eden hears this and then says, it seems like the moon is important in many different cultures. Yeah, of course it is.
没错，在不同的文化里面都会提到月亮。然后呢，代表这个月亮在每个文化里头都还蛮重要的。那再来呢 Kiko 说啊 In Japan, people will sing songs and write stories about it.
Oh, okay.
People spend a lot of time staring at the moon.
Right, yeah, they stare at the moon. Maybe it's because it's got a certain kind of beauty. It's always been said to inspire people, and sometimes in a bad way. There used to be the idea that the full moon could send people kind of a bit crazy.
Oh, werewolves might
not just the werewolf stories. There's a word called lunatic, Lunatic, which means a crazy person. But luna comes from the word for moon. So a lunatic is someone who goes a bit crazy when the moon is full.
Interesting.
And if that's true, maybe you shouldn't stare at it for too long. To stare at someone or something is to look hard at it for a long period of time. You don't have just a quick look. You don't have just, oh, what's that? All right, nothing, move on. You're really staring at it. Maybe you're trying to work out, what is it? Maybe you're thinking, wow, this is so interesting. I can't take my eyes off it. For example, you might say, I don't think it's a good idea for children to be staring at phone, computer, or TV screens for a long time.
Stare 这个动词呢，代表凝视、注视。Stare at something or somebody， 那就是凝视、注视着某物或某人。像是我们可以说呢 ，Why are you staring at that guy？ 你为什么要盯着那个男人看呢 ？Do you know him？ 你认识他吗？那这边我们看到呢 ，People spend a lot of time staring at the moon。Spend time doing something 是我们要注意的哈，花费时间做某事，后面的动作必须要是 VING 的形式。像是呢，我们可以说 I spent 3 hours cleaning my room。那因为接在 spend 的后方，所以我们的 clean 要加上 ing。
So that is the Japanese part of the story. We've learned that people have a different story about the moon. It's got a rabbit making mochi up there. We've learned that people like to write stories and poems and songs about the moon and stare at it. So Eden then turns to her other friend or his other friend and asks, what about Vietnam, Thuc? Do you celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival there?
Right, what about in Vietnam? Vietnam 这个国家是越南，所以我们说 Thuc is Vietnamese， 他是越南人。那 Thuc 怎么回答呢？他说啊 ，We do. In Vietnam, it's mostly a holiday for children.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun. She says, or he says, mostly. Mostly means mainly, for the most part. So this holiday, yes, the adults will get involved. They'll do a few things, but mostly, mainly, It's a children's day. It's a thing we do for the kids. If you don't have children, you maybe don't do anything on this day. If you do have children, it's all games and activities and foods for them. And kind of a bit like Children's Day in here, and also in Japan, people do a lot of activities for children there, but Moon Festival or Mid-Autumn Festival here is more overall family. In Vietnam, it seems it's mostly for kids. Here's another example of how to use the adverb mostly. This restaurant mostly sells local dishes, but it does have a few that come from other countries.
Mostly 它是一个副词，那代表通常或是在一般的情况下。所以呢 Thuc 说到啊，在越南中秋节通常是 a day for children 儿童的节日。
Okay, and what do they do on this day? Thuc says, we eat moon cakes. Okay, that's definitely something that happens in Taiwan.
Right.
And people do special dances in lion costumes.
Oh, lion costumes. Actually, we have that too, right?
Chinese New Year time,
Yeah.
people do the lion dances, but it seems in Vietnam this happens as well at Mid-Autumn Festival. And if we're talking about costumes, we're talking about special clothes that are used for dressing up. You would wear them in a play or a movie, you could wear them at a party, and other places like that. And the idea is these are clothes that allow you to pretend to act like you are someone or something else. If you were wearing a king costume, you'd have a big crown, some royal robes. A lion costume, you'd have the big mane of hair, a tail, some claws, that kind of stuff.
Costume 代表就是表演的时候穿的服装戏服，我们上台的时候要扮演另外一个角色，我们需要 costumes 来帮忙。当然像是 Halloween 的时候，万圣节我们也需要用到 costumes to dress up.
Right, but that's not all. We've got mooncakes and lion costumes, but there's more in Vietnam. Thuc says we also pray to the moon and the earth god. So pray, of course, you worship, you ask them for blessings, that kind of thing. Praying to the moon, a lot of cultures do that. Praying to the earth god, that also happens in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, a lot of people pray to the earth god. Earth god 代表就是我们的土地公。
Right, that's his name, yeah.
所以 Eden 听完之后啊，他就说 Cool, the barbecue tradition in Taiwan started in the 1980s.
Okay, so this is moving on now to this thing that I'm sure a lot of people know. Okay, in Taiwan it's Moon Festival, so we have a barbecue. And it seems a great idea because the weather's good for being outside and barbecues are fun. But why? And why Moon Festival? It's a really kind of like, I can't see the obvious connection, but Eden explains. Two companies were fighting to sell their barbecue sauce.
Okay.
So these two companies that make barbecue sauce, buy ours, no, buy ours, no, you should definitely buy ours. They're competing who's going to be the #1 barbecue sauce.
所以这里的 fight 不是真正的去打架，它的意思是竞争。我们也可以用 compete 这个动词来代表。所以他们在跟彼此竞争，要卖的是 barbecue sauce.
Yeah, let's take a look at this word sauce. So a sauce is a mix of different foods and ingredients, and you turn it into some kind of liquid. It could be quite a thick, chunky liquid. It could be a thin, almost like watery liquid, and it's used to add flavors to food. Soy sauce, jiangyou is an obvious one. You would put that on food. Tomato ketchup is a very thick kind of sauce. We have different spicy sauces we add to things. We have lots of different sauces. You can put it on top, mix it in, have it on the side to dip your food in. You can make whole dishes with different sauces, as we'll see in this example sentence. You can choose to have this pasta dish with tomato sauce, cream sauce, or a green sauce called pesto.
所以呢，我们说到的 sauce 它就是酱汁。Do you like some sauce from Taiwan?
Would you count the sort of like mahjong kind of sauce?
Yes.
I love mahjong mian, liang mian, that kind of sauce with sesame, bit of peanut oil, that kind of stuff.
What about when you go to a breakfast shop? And you'll have, it's kind of like soy sauce.
A thick soy sauce,
yes,
right?
Thick one.
Yeah, and definitely some la jiao.
Yes.
Pat loves spicy food.
Nice.
Give me some辣椒. Okay, so Eden is talking about barbecue sauce. So this is the sauce that you'd eat with barbecue food. And the stuff you get in Taiwan, it's got quite a bit of garlic, hasn't it? It's got a bit of soy sauce mixed in. You get it in hot pot and barbecue restaurants. Sachamian, is that right?
沙茶酱
yeah, 沙茶酱
sauce.
That kind of stuff, right. So Eden says, stories say that their advertisements helped invent the tradition. So these two companies going, buy ours, here's stuff on TV, here's stuff in newspapers, these advertisements and ads. And people just kind of like, all right, we'll buy your sauce and we'll have a barbecue at this time of year.
不过呢，我们看到是 stories say 这边的 story 它有谣传、传闻的意思，好，所以不见得是真的。所以传闻说呢，是他们的广告帮忙发明了这项传统。And then the article says, at the same time, people had money to buy more things like barbecue equipment.
So it's kind of this stuff being advertised and people at this point in Taiwan's history being a little bit wealthier than before. They had some more money and they go, well, let's buy nice things for our home that we couldn't afford before. Let's maybe get TVs, let's get fridges and air conditioning, and let's get barbecue equipment. Equipment is anything or all the things needed for a particular task or activity. Climbing equipment is like ropes and special boots and sharp stuff for rocks. Science equipment, that's the special glasses you use for mixing chemicals, the goggles and so on. Barbecue equipment is the big grill, the tongs, the stuff to make the fire keep going, that kind of stuff.
没错，还有像是 sports equipment，也就是运动的时候用的用品。那 equipment 这个字呢，当然是名词，代表用具、器材。So what are some of the barbecue equipment? You just mentioned some.
Yeah, you definitely need the grill.
Yes, the grill and grill brushes.
Oh yeah, you can put the sauce on the meat with it.
Yes.
You need something to turn over the meat and things like that. You need something to light the fuel.
Right.
And you need the actual fuel. Chairs and tables.
Maybe you need charcoal.
Yeah, charcoal or something.
And some flashlights.
Yeah, or even just matches or gas lighter, whatever you're using to light it. That's part of the equipment. Thuk thinks this is a cool story. Thuk says, that is very interesting.
没错，那 Kiko 就说啦 I'm thankful to be able to share this time with you both.
Yeah, a lot of celebrations, a lot of special holidays are all about being thankful, about saying thanks for something. If you're thankful, you feel that you need to say thank you, you want to show your appreciation for something like, this is a good time, this is a good thing, but I didn't just make it by myself, other people contributed. I want to remember and appreciate this time and you guys and everything that happened. For example, you might say, I'm thankful for all the good times I spent with my brothers when I was young.
Thankful 这个形容词呢，代表感激的、庆幸的。所以呢，当我们看到主角出现，再加上 be 动词，接着说 thankful for somebody or something， 代表就是你对某人或是事物感到感激。那我们可以说 I'm thankful for what you have done for me， 代表我为你所做的，我认为你为我所做的一切觉得感激。那课文这边用到的是呢 be thankful to 后面加上原形动词的用法哦，代表呢对能做的某事感到感激或庆幸。
Eden then says, me too, she's thankful. And then Eden adds, now let's eat and admire the moon. To admire something means to look at something and enjoy its qualities, usually because it is beautiful or it's attractive. You like looking at it. You think, wow, this is really great. For example, everyone admired the movie star's beautiful dress.
Admire 在这边当作欣赏景物来解释，所以我们可以说呢 We stood there admiring the night view， 代表我们站在那边欣赏夜景。那当然 admire 也可以说是欣赏某一个人，像是呢 I admire Jessica for her patience and determination， 代表我欣赏她的耐性和决心。
Eden then says, maybe we can see the rabbit making mochi. Yeah.
That would be cute.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. Get a telescope out. So we'll leave the three of them to enjoy their barbecue food, and we're going to go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So we've seen there that Eden comes from Taiwan, Kiko from Japan, and Thuk from Vietnam. And that leads to our chat question. What else do East Asian cultures have in common? Think about history, food, languages, and traditions.
I think a lot of our languages are related.
Sure.
Especially, I think Chinese is related to Japanese.
Yeah,
and Korean.
Yeah, Vietnamese
right.
a little bit.
And in all of our cultures, I think we respect the elderly or the authority more than Westerners.
Certainly modern Westerners, yeah, that kind of structure sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Thinking of languages, the kind of picture languages, Japan, Taiwanese, like China, Taiwan, a lot of the words are represented not with letters of an alphabet, with pictures. Now, Korean has more of an alphabet, right? And so does Thai. And Vietnam has its own sort of letters and the accents on. But certainly in Japan, in China, you've got the pictures representing words.
Yeah, so in your eyes, you think you're looking at all different kinds of pictures, right?
Yes, pretty much, yeah. And then there is chopsticks for eating the food. Now in the West, we have knives and spoons and forks, but in Taiwan, in Korea, in Thailand, in Vietnam, people will use chopsticks and spoons, chopsticks and forks maybe to eat their food. And this, I think it comes from a belief that like not everybody should use knives to cut things up. Like the chefs and the cooks will do that, but otherwise people don't want to be using sharp things so much.
Right, and I think most of us celebrate Lunar New Year.
Yes, the following of the lunar culture, and that's because the sort of Christian culture didn't come in early enough to kind of push away those older traditional festivals that as it did in Europe. So there's just a few examples, and I'm sure you can think of plenty more, but that's all we have time for. Thanks for watching, everybody. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Tradition. The tradition of wearing white wedding dresses started with Queen Victoria in 1840. Stare. Henry stared at the puzzle for a long time, but he couldn't solve it. Mostly. Kathleen mostly goes to dance classes for exercise, but she also sometimes swims. Sauce. At the supermarket, please buy some tomato sauce so we can put it on our spaghetti tonight. Thankful. When Tony woke up on Saturday, he was thankful that he didn't need to go to work. Admire. Julia had a good afternoon walking around the museum and admiring the art.
智慧小补帖
Mochi. Costume. Equipment.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net